You read that title correctly. A little bit of backlash from what Tyreek Hill said Sunday after the game. Plus, we have a lot, and I mean a lot of other things to talk about. So, without further ado, let's jump into this. What is up, Finn fans? Packed video for you guys because I have so much to do, so much to talk about. We still got playoffs to talk about, still got, future opponents. I still gonna review the year. I got so much to do, so much to talk about. So in this video, we are going over the possibility of losing Anthony Weaver. We're going over Phillips, Jackson, and Chubb update. We're also going over what the players thought about and what they need to improve on. And obviously, we're going over the Tyreek Hill backlash from what he said. But first and foremost, I want to say that yesterday I forgot to read the calendar. And yesterday was a trivia question. Today is not a trivia question. So I will give you the trivia question. I'll tell you the answer at the back end at the end of the video, and then I'll give you the fact of today. So here's your trivia question. What is the most number of points the Dolphins have scored in a game entering 2023? So this is before we drop 70 on the Broncos. What is the most number of points the Dolphins have scored in a game? And I will tell you the answer at the end of the video. And our fact of today is the Dolphins enter the 2024 calendar year with 2 NFL championships in their history. They came back-to-back in 72, 73, and they went to 3 straight Super Bowls. 71, lost to the Dallas Cowboys, 72, and then 73, and won 2 of them. So again, end of the video, I will tell you the answer to that trivia question. So let's jump into the news. So Anthony Weaver has been asked, the Miami Dolphins have asked for permission. The Saints and the Bears want to interview Anthony Weaver for their head coaching vacancy. Now, that is big, and I kind of saw it coming because if you guys remember at the beginning of the year, I talked about there was a picture of or a video of Mike McDaniel kind of messing with Robert Saleh at the owners meeting. And I said, well, there's going to be our new defensive coordinator, essentially insinuating that he's going to get fired from the Jets because they're going to do horribly. I kind of was right about that. And a lot of people were like, wow, you really think Weaver's going to do that bad that we're going to fire him, blah, blah, blah. No, I thought exactly what's happening now would happen. I thought Weaver would do really well, and he would get opportunities as a head coach. So the Saints and Bears are asking to interview him. So if we move on from Anthony Weaver, my top choice is obviously Robert Saleh. He does have somewhat of a relationship and a familiarity with Mike McDaniel, being that they work with the 49ers at the same time. And also I'm hearing the Colts have fired Gus Bradley, and Gus Bradley also has a connection with Mike McDaniel. So those would probably be my number 2 options at defensive coordinator. Obviously, number 1 being Robert Saleh, number 2 being Gus Bradley. But we'll see if Weaver leaves. I kind of don't want Weaver to leave. I'd like him to continue to build off of what he already started, bring in more of his style of players. But we will see about that. Next, I will give you an update from Jalen Phillips, Austin Jackson, and Bradley Chubb. Now, I will talk about the cap, how we can get under the cap. Currently, I think going into 2025, we have like 10 million in cap space if you go off a spot track. So we'll see. But the Dolphins right tackle Austin Jackson, outside linebacker Jalen Phillips, who ended the season on injury reserve with knee injury, said Monday that they will be ready to play the start of next season, which I don't doubt because Phillips was ready with the torn Achilles, and it happened way later in the season. And outside linebacker Bradley Chubb said he will be back to himself after missing the season with 3 different knee injuries, sustaining in week 17 of 2023. Speaking for the first time since being placed on IR in November, Jackson revealed on Monday that he was diagnosed with a meniscus tear. The injury was surgically repaired. If you guys remember, Jalen Ramsey didn't have a meniscus tear, but he had a meniscus injury in training camp, and then we had him back in 2023, I think after the bye, or that Patriots game was his first game back. And I say, Phil, be ready for your next season's opener. He said, very realistic. I'll be full go, 100%. Better than I was this year by the next opener. I'm progressing really well, and I should be fully cleared in a month or so. Jackson, whose skilled run blocking was partially missed, said the knee started bothering him after November 3rd against the Buffalo Bills. After the Bills game, my knee just swelled up really bad. I finished the game, so that was confusing. We got some imaging done and saw there were a couple of bad tears in there. We decided altogether to get it fixed now. That way, best for me to future on and off the field. Yeah, 100%. At that point, the season was kind of in the bags. We were at 2-6, so that made a lot of sense. He said the rehab has been pretty lengthy. A lot of meniscus tears lead to degeneration knees. If not taken care of properly, I definitely want to take care of it properly going forward. That is the best for me and my career. As for Phillips, he said, his season ended with a torn ACL sustained week 4 to the loss to the Tennessee Titans. Typical recovery for an ACL is 9 months. I'll be back by training camp ready to go. He said Phillips' injury happened when he collided with safety Jordan Poyer. He later returned to the game briefly because doctors said he couldn't do any more damage. Well, he's a maniac because it happened when the contact happened, and then after that came out for a play or two, just feeling it around. With an ACL, you're able to run on it in a straight line, so I was able to do sideline. I was on the sideline doing acceleration. I felt that was good. When they checked on my knee, they thought possibly it was an MCL, something like that. We were just like, brace it up, tape it up. I went in at halftime, did that, and then when we came out of halftime, tried to do a couple series. Every time I would plant at a 45 degree, it just started to buckle on me. So at that point, I just kind of knew I just wouldn't be able to play. I didn't do anything extra to it or anything like that. Ended up being a partial ACL. They're going to have to operate on it anyways. It feels really good now. So it wasn't a full tear, it was a partial tear. So again, he came back fairly quickly. It's honestly been really seamless, the surgery, and I think I'm 12 weeks out now. It's been building that strength back in the quad. Everything is going swimmingly, and I feel really good right now. Swimmingly? What are you, British? Phillips? It's going quite swimmingly. Meanwhile, Chubb said he took no issue with the team's decision not to activate him this season. He ended up missing the entire season. It's something I agreed with. He said, it's a tough decision. When you get back from an injury like that, you want to be 100% confident in everything you're doing. I had confidence. I was good moving around, but I wasn't all the way there. I didn't want to push myself into harm's risk. I didn't want to put my teams in harm's risk because of my half-stepping or not being all the way there. Plus, the environment we played in Cleveland that time of year is slick grass, slick turf, and everyone talks about MetLife where players are often injured in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Does he expect to be a high-impact Chubb next season? 100%, he said. I would like to have Chubb back next year, hopefully. Now, again, I go on... Let me just show you real quick, because this is something that's interesting to me. If you go on Spot Track, even if you don't, I'll give you 2 instances that I find it very interesting with his contract, because I'm wondering if some type of clause was initiated in his contract. So I'm going to show you real quick because I like Bradley Chubb. I think he'd be very dangerous with Chop and Jalen Phillips, but I want to show you something. So real quick. So this is Bradley Chubb right here. You see his cap hit is $29.3 million. You click on it. You come down here. His cap hit is $15.8 million. See what I'm saying? 29. Click on it. 15. So it's like a $14 million savings going from there to there. And that's probably why in 2025, the Miami Dolphins have $9 million, give or take, in cap space. And you might be like, hey, that might just be Spot Track being weird. Well, if you come over here to over the cap, you look over here, Bradley Chubb, his cap hit is $29.3 million. You click on his name, you come down here to 2020. Oh, no, it's still $29.3 million. So again, I don't know why on Spot Track it goes down to 15.8, unless they're incorporating all this other stuff with the roster bonus, but it's the cap hit. You know, because over here, it's the cap hit, and they have the workout bonus and the roster bonus and everything else. It's just weird to me. I will figure it out. I'll get back to you guys. I'll let you guys know about all that. But from everything that we've heard, great news out of Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, and Austin Jackson, which is something we desperately need. Now let's get into what the players said about improving. So, in the wake of the Dolphins finishing 8-9 and missing the playoffs, several respected team leaders offered some eyebrow-raising comments Monday about the need for more players self-policing, woo, and correcting of mistakes, improved punctuality, better judgment, and greater off-season attendance. The fact that that is a thing that the players feel they need to hold each other accountable, whereas the coach doesn't, bothers me. 3 different players mentioned players needing to be on time more. Edge rusher Bradley Chubb suggested players need to show up for voluntary offseason workouts and practice more consistently. He said, I know a lot of people don't want to be here for optional practices, but at the end of the day, if we want to go where we want to go, that's where the foundation we have to be laid. In life, you've got to sacrifice for what you really want. It's not you got to be here every day, each and every day, but let's start building that rapport as a team and setting our goals for what we want in the future. Right there, when I heard that, because at first Bradley Chubb, I was like, we could save a lot of cap by moving on from him. He's dealing with a bad knee injury he's coming back from. I'm like, we could probably move on from him. But once I heard him say that, I'm like, now I want him back. And I go by that. You ever want to know what this says here, this part of my sleeve? It says, nothing in this world that's worth having comes easy. I live by that because there's been a lot of trials and tribulations in my life, and I'm still here and I'm still fighting and I'm happy. So I wholeheartedly agree that in life, you've got to sacrifice for what you really want, is what he's saying. Does Coach Mike McDaniel need to lay down the law more with this team? Mike knows what he needs to do, Chubb said. He talked to the team. He addresses us about how he's going to be a better as a coach and a leader of men next year. So he knows exactly what he has to do, and we're all right there behind him in that same direction. I was on Krantz's Corner, which I don't know if it's out as of today. It might be out tomorrow, and it will be on the radio for you guys in South Florida. And the question that was asked to me, does I feel he lost the locker room? I feel like he lost some players, Mike McDaniel, but I don't feel like he's lost the locker room entirely. And by Chubb's response right there is kind of reiterates that. Chubb, who missed the season with a knee injury, but remained more involved all year, suggested effort wasn't the issue. Each week, they laid it out in practice each and every week. But when it came down to the minute details, we had lapses in judgment. And that comes from having lapses in judgment throughout the week, and leaders seeing something but not saying something, and not having the small problem end up being a bigger problem. I saw a little bit of it this year. So, that's kind of where the players can step up, because the coach is not going to be able to see everything, but you have to have those leaders. Absolutely, said Sealer, who was voted team MVP by local media. What McDaniels does a great job of is preaching a player-led locker room that needs to come from us as players, leaders, and captains, as well as the staff, and get everyone here and get everyone working through from day one in OTAs and camp, and get things taken care of from day one and take care of business to start fast this year. Was that a problem this year? There were things going on this year in the background that needed to get taken care of. Some things could have been, I would say, we need to have our P's and Q's earlier in the season, earlier in camp. It's a point of focus. We're going to make sure we don't mess that up again. Now, I'm wondering what that is. Is it Tyreek Hill, is what he had going on in the off the field? Because he had a lot of things going on off the field, not just the arrest and, the divorce and his house being lit on fire and like all these different things happening to him. As a team, we need to stay focused this year that everyone is here and make sure we're on time and winning it all next year, and make the corrections from this season going into camp. How tough is it to speak up? It was a question. Speaking up is one thing, but one thing I've been working on my entire career. Me and Christian Wilkins talked a lot about that early on. I'm now a leader on this team. I'm a veteran. I have my name now. And I'm going to talk about that in the year in review, how, Sealer the salt and pepper, we were wondering who's going to fall. You know, is Sealer really benefiting from Wilkins? But we kind of saw that Steelers double-digit sacks this year. To speak up with guys like Chubb, Calais, Emmanuel Ogbah, Jalen Ramsey, all those guys on defense, we need to make sure we are holding everyone to the standard, to be here from day one, to work as a unit and stay on top of things early on, so we're not trying to play catch-up. We're starting the season fast and not playing from behind the 8 ball, which essentially is why the season derailed, because you started 2-6. But that had a lot to do with the quarterback. Asked if players need to be to hold themselves a higher standard was an issue, tight end Jonnu Smith said definitely a lot more house cleaning rules we can clean up on. It's going to be equate to wins. That's hard to say. You need to structure anytime you strive to do something great. There's a lot of things we need to clean up as a team, speaking individually as myself. Said Gardley and Micahberg, it all goes back to details, to the little things. People show up late in our room. People were, for the most part, on top of things. I'm going to be nice about Liam Micahberg. He said something good there. I want to get to what Bradley Chubb said about Tyreek Hill, because it's going to kind of, we'll start talking about Tyreek Hill now, because, you know, talk about the backlash, because he obviously said some things and we need to really focus on that and get on that. Tyreek Hill, who wasn't available in the fourth quarter for reasons not explained and then expressed desire to play elsewhere afterwards, played just 27 to 70 offensive snaps on Sunday. At receiver, the Dolphins gave 63 snaps to Waddle, 43 to Wilkins, 25 to Kraft. He was not removed for medical reasons. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, told WSVN7 that several doctors recommended he have wrist surgery months ago, but Hill played through it. One of the Dolphin players, Chubb, expressed disappointment in Hill's comments and actions on Sunday. Disappointed for sure, but at the end of the day, you got to move on with the guys who want to be here and who will continue to fight. And that kind of coincides with what happened and the backlash of Tyreek Hill. Now, Tyreek Hill is still messing with people. He's still on Twitter. He changed his Twitter image to his head on Antonio Brown's body when he left the Jets game with the Buccaneers. He's making tweets and comments and this and that. He's kind of doubling down at, I got you guys. And I think at the end of that game, he should have kind of not talked to the media, and he should have just kind of zip the lip and decompressed and then talk to the media, because now he's in a situation where he said something, everyone heard it, and now his agent Drew Rosenhaus has to do cleanup, because his agent Drew Rosenhaus came out and said that he's going to talk to him privately. That being said, here's the backlash, because Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk said Tyreek Hill's apparent refusal to play could trigger a contract showdown. Dolphins GM Chris Greer and head coach Mike McDaniel will be back for 2025, unfortunately. I threw the unfortunately in there. And they'll get started this offseason with potential contract mess involving the team's best player. Beyond the fact that Tyreek Hill said Sunday he wants out, Hill's apparent refusal to play on Sunday could trigger a contract showdown, which could allow the Dolphins to wipe out his remaining guarantees. It could also allow the Dolphins to pursue partial repayment of more than $24 million in signing bonus and roster bonus money received in 2024. For 2025, Hill has a $15.8 million option bonus, $10 million salary, and a $1 million roster bonus, plus a $1.8 million per game bonus and a $100,000 offseason workout bonus. All payments are fully guaranteed for now. The current deal could be traded with or without the guarantee being voided. Would someone commit $29.6 million in cash for him in 2025? As one source with extensive personal evaluation experience put on it Monday, he's still working that kind of money, but he's definitely not as good as he used to be. There's also the headache factor. The Chiefs decided to move on from him in 2021. They had enough. Hill is trying his best to be a pain, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. So essentially, the Dolphins could get some money back for him not playing that game, the end of the game, and also can probably start to void his guaranteed money, which would make it easier to trade him. Now, I will talk more about him being traded, where he could be traded, and saving cap space and all that stuff in another video. Like I said, I have a ton of videos for you, but that's the backlash of him doing what he did and his contract, and it might help the Dolphins be like, all right, cool. Well, we're going to trade you then because, you know, we'll get more cap space. Or they can talk to a team and be like, again, you could probably get a second for him. You ain't getting a first for him. And the Dolphins could be like, hey, give us a third this year. Give us a fourth next year. And take on half of his guaranteed money, which I think he's due $28 million. It would be dead cap if we traded him pre-June 1st. Take on 14. So all of a sudden we get 14 million in cap space. We'll take the other 14 on, and we'll take a third and a fourth next year, which is cheap for someone in Tyreek Hill's range. So, but like that Insort Source said, for the amount of money, he's not that same player. But this is what Stephen A. Smith had to say, which I found very interesting.
May I go first, fellas?
Sure.
Man.
Go ahead.
Oh, hell to the no. Stay your ass right here. You want to chirp, right? Oh, no. I wanted to go first. I wanted the non-football guy to go first because I wanted to defer to y'all, but I wanted to lay it out for you, Shay, and for you, Swagoo. Ain't this the same Tyreek Hill? Now, listen, we know he all world. He's my favorite receiver. The cheetah's the cheetah. However, wasn't that the same dude that said Tua was comparable to Patrick Mahomes? Am I missing something? Ain't that same dude? Ain't that same dude that swore? Swore up and down. Watch what we do. Ain't that dude? That's the same dude. And then long before we could look at Tua and look at the concussions, or even after, did they roll up into Kansas City last year in the playoffs, and we knew they were done the second we heard the meteorologist give us the weather report? Because these brothers can't wait, and they can't play in weather that's worse than 40 degrees. Ain't that that's the same team? Correct, Shay? Swagoo, am I lying? Ain't this the same team? And oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the same Tyreek Hill, who got his bag now, restructured his deal for Miami, got his bag now. I don't want to hear about your family, because your family is when it comes to the money, not the game. That's you. That's not your family. That's you. That's you, Tyreek Hill. This is the same brother. Tua had 17 starts last year. This year he got 11. This year he was targeted 171 times last year, 123 this year. Receptions, 119 last year, 81 this year. Receiving yards, 1799 last year, 959 this year. That's a 38% drop in receptions. That's damn near 800 yards. It is an 800-yard drop in receiving yards. And by the way, his reception yards per game dipped from 112 to 56.4, which is his fewest since his rookie season. Life's a little bit different when you ain't with Patrick Mahomes. We tried to tell you. We don't want to hear about no family now. You got your bag. That ain't family, bro. Family's the bag. Once you get the bag, family's taken care of. It's about you.
So the only pushback I'll say on that is with whole Tua situation, he had his best career or best years with Tua. But here's the thing. You saw when Tua's not out there, full year with Tua, look what he did. Tua misses 6 games, look where he's at. But Stephen A. Smith hit the nail on the head. I got to look at my family first and yada, yada. You're getting paid. You're the one who's dropping passes. You're the one who's dropping touchdowns. If it's your risk, go get the surgery, man. No one's here, listening to your violin. So there's that. Also, this is from Cameron Wolf.
Look, Tyreek was very frustrated after that game. He's very emotional, but his words hold weight. He's a team captain. He's a guy who people listen when he talks. And when you say I'm out, bro, when you say that I got to talk with my family, it's definitely raised some eyes from people I talk to in the locker room, inside the organization. He's going to get a couple days to cool off. I talk with his representation. They don't have any formal thing to say right now, no formal trade request or statement. But Mike McDaniel referenced that he's not going to take statements after a locker room as verbatim,
like I said.
Final answer. So they're going to have talks and exit meetings over the next day or two, and he'll kind of see where Tyreek Hill is. As Tyreek mentioned in that interview, he hadn't missed the playoffs before. Missed playoffs. Quarterbacks getting hurt a couple times during the season. He didn't get 1,000 yards for the first time in his career, and he only had 2 catches this past game. And so knowing Tyreek, this is a situation where he's very frustrated. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he has a different take in a few days. But I think it is alarming to note just sort of what happened in this game. He came out of the game in the fourth quarter. He referenced after the game, he essentially looked up and saw the Chiefs-Broncos score, and he's dealing with the wrist injury that has a torn ligament. And Mike McDaniel essentially said he was told he was not available, and definitely had some conversations with people in the locker room that were a little puzzled by that. You got a team captain making a decision in that realm, and there has to be some kind of backlash or some talks about what that means. So definitely an emotional period for Tyreek Hill. His statements hold words, but going to be an interesting days ahead to see what happens with Tyreek and the Dolphins.
So again, he made a business decision, but you're the team captain. You need to be out there. And I noticed that even throughout the season, he'll run like a 10-yard out or something, and then boom, next play he's on the sideline. There was something different about Tyreek this year. I don't know what it was. And now obviously, could it be he didn't have Tua throwing him the ball, or could it be that the offense was different because the opposing defenses were taking things away and they weren't trying to force Tyreek the ball over and over and over and over again? That's a possibility, but you wanted to get paid more, you got paid more. You wanted to be paid like a top receiver, you're getting paid like a top receiver. Now all of a sudden, because times got rough in Miami, whereas the past 2 years things were great, and you were a superstar and got the number one, player in the top 100 and all this stuff, you want to pack your bags and go. It's weak to me. That's weak. And, bye. If they can get cap space, and draft picks for moving on from him, do it. Because he's been on the field last year, amazing. This year it wasn't amazing, but he's still a top receiver. Off the field, it's like one thing after another with Tyreek, and it gets to the point where it's like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So like I said, if they try, here, I'll show you real quick. If they try to trade Tyreek pre June 1st, which you want to do because you want the draft picks, it's gonna cost you, right? So 401,000 is what you save. It's nothing if you try to trade him before June 1st. Now, again, we don't know if there's ramifications, like I said, or backlash, as I titled the video, for him taking himself out of the fourth quarter. You see, the dead cap in 2025 is 28 million.3. I'll round it up. If a team will take him and will take a lesser draft pick, so instead of a second, we'll take a third, and you take half of that dead cap, so we save 14 million moving on from him, then all of a sudden it becomes more likely, because all of a sudden you could take that 14 million and go out and get a taller receiver, so you're not stuck with a bunch of receivers under 6 foot. Maybe a Higgins, you pay him 14 million this year and structure his contract, or you go out and get whoever you want to get and focus it around that. Now, again, if it's post June 1st, his dead cap is split between 2 years, but they save 16 million. And again, there's the hard out after 2025, where they'll save a buttload of money, just get rid of him, $36 million. But it kind of seems like it's a problem now. So there's a lot that's going to happen, like Cameron Wolf said, a lot that's going to come to fruition, whether it's him realizing, hey, I messed up, I shouldn't have said what I said, I was heat of the moment, yada yada, or the Dolphins being like, look, it's one thing after another, we're just going to move on from you. So comment below, let me know what you guys think of everything in this video. Weaver potentially going to the Saints or the Bears. Who would you want as a replacement? What Phillips, Jackson, and Chubb said about their injury. What players are saying about doing better and in the locker room stuff. And Hill's backlash. Now, the answer to the trivia. Again, what is the most number of points the Dolphins have scored in a game entering 2023? So most number of points scored in a game, not 2023, so not the 70 burger. And the answer is 55 points. It came 1997 when the Miami Dolphins beat the Arizona Cardinals 55-14. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I already told you today's fact, and then I think on Wednesday it is trivia again. So hope you guys enjoy this stuff. I will see you tomorrow, but like usual, stay classy and fins up.